There's a lot of upward pressure right now on silver. Plenty of trouble in the world to keep driving the metals, both gold and silver, higher.
I wouldn't be surprised, if we break 50 here in the next, month or so.
If you had $100 a month to spend on metals, what would you buy?
Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new.
Look at that bit of gold in the case, and we do have a new all-time high in gold today.
Yep, every day is a new all-time high. Almost $3,650, and with the premium you're going to pay, you're flirting with $3,800 an ounce for an ounce of gold.
That seems like a lot of money, but I feel like it could go a lot higher too.
It could, but it's a lot of money, and it's pricing people out. We're doing far more buying than selling. The exception being what you see in the showcase are U.S. gold pieces, both the Buffaloes and the Eagles. The world gold does not sell anymore, not at all.
Yeah, actually, I've got a bunch of questions. We're doing another question video today, Harry.
You got questions? We got answers.
And speaking of world gold, we have one here. Would you melt a 1 ounce gold reverse proof Libertad?
No.
You wouldn't melt that?
Because Adrian loves those.
Yeah.
You'd be upset if that got melted?
It just wouldn't happen. But yes, I would be upset.
Do you like the reverse proof more than the proof?
Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful coin. I mean, it's got a reverse proof look to it. So think of a proof, but just everything flipped. So the fields will be kind of like that frosty look, and then the device will be shiny.
Okay, let's keep on the gold theme. We have another question. He says he started stacking silver. After 500 ounce, should I start in gold?
Has to be according to your own plan. It's the kind of question that only the individual himself can answer, because how much is enough? How much is too much? That's got to fit with what your goals are with the metals and what you can afford, whether you think you need to get up and run with it or if you've got plenty of storage space. It's a lot of factors involved, and so when people ask me that question directly, I have half a dozen questions back for them before I can offer an opinion.
Well, I will say for me personally, I had about 400 ounces of silver before I started buying gold. I think it's nice to get a good base in silver, especially if you're young and you got time to stack. But I would have to agree, it's up to the individual.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of fun ways to figure it out. One way might be look at the current ratio and have your stack be a reflection of that ratio. So if it's, say, 90-1 right now, for every 90 ounces of silver you buy, get an ounce of gold. Just an opinion, something fun maybe.
We have another question about gold. They say, can you get the premium back when you sell fractional gold?
That's a timing issue. If you sell it the next day, no. But the premiums are such that it won't take very long, in this market anyway, to break even and even profit.
Well, if we take a look at the tray here, you can see that the 1 10th ounce gold has got a $45 premium, but then we have the 1 ounce gold. If you look at a bar, it's got a $50 premium. So you're paying an additional $400 if you buy 10 of the 1 10th ounce. So they're obviously a higher premium piece, but when I sell them, would I get more for a 10th ounce than a 1 ounce?
Yeah, you would. On the other hand, if all you can afford is a 10th ounce, it doesn't really matter what the multiple is if you've got to have some gold in your stack.
Okay, we have another question about gold, but this one is for Adrian.
Okay.
They say, Adrian, how much gold/silver do I need to stack before I can justify buying a gold Rolex like yours?
Yeah,
It's nice.
thank you. I would say if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it. When it comes to something that you're kind of treating yourself with, I would say just build your stack. Have an emergency fund, first to cover your bills, and then put some money into silver and gold, whatever you think might be a good percentage of your savings or your income, whatever it might be. And then if you have some money left over, then get yourself a nice Rolex. For me, it's more than just a watch. It's something that I've always kind of liked as a kid. I've always liked watches, and it was a goal of mine to have one. And, it's a constant reminder every day to, of how hard you work and, to keep motivating yourself. So that does it for me personally. But to answer the question is, there's no real number to it, but whenever you feel comfortable enough that you have enough saved for an emergency and you have enough saved in your stack for a rainy day, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and buy yourself that nice gold Rolex.
Adrian's father's philosophy of, be able to buy it twice before you buy it is excellent, because it kind of goes into dovetails to my opinion is don't go into debt for a toy like that. It's a beautiful toy and it's a prestigious piece of jewelry, but don't go into debt for something like that. You know, wait till you can actually afford to pay cash for it.
Well, and speaking of Rolex, maybe some people don't know, but Harry has got a little Rolex under here too.
And can I tell you, that's a gift from Adrian.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a watch guy and things don't really get me excited, but I have to tell you, I've been quite taken with that. It's just so beautiful, and I've never dreamed of having one, and thanks to Adrian, now I do. So
Hey, you know what? There's no more deserving guy than Harry. You know, he takes care of everybody else, and he would never do that for himself. At least I would like to say, but you know, it's a special gift for a special guy.
And look who just walked in, King Richard. What's up, dude?
Morning.
Hey, someone asked, can we do a video for the key dates for junk silver? Can we just go over some of the highlights really quick, Richard?
It depends on the coins. If you're looking for peace dollars, your 21 and 28 Phillies, Morgans, your 93s, 94s, 95s, Carson Cities, maybe a 99 Philly. You know, that might be one a dealer skips over and you're like, woohoo.
What about the dimes?
Mercury dimes, your 1921, 21D, 16D. No key dates in the Roosevelts.
Wow.
Washington quarters, your 32D and S. And your Walkers are going to be your 1921s, PD and S. Of course, there's no P mint mark, but yeah, your Phillies. No key dates in the Benjamins. And of course, 1964 Kennedys. They only made them in 64. So.
What about the standing Liberty quarters or Barbers?
Yeah, those you don't see as much, and I feel like dealers are going to have those more picked through for any better dates, even the semi-keys. But that doesn't mean you won't find them. If you see a 1916 standing Liberty quarter, for example, score.
1916?
Yeah.
That's the type 1, yeah.
Yeah. Barber quarters, 96S, 01S, 13S. If you find any of those, holy smokes, I found them. I found a 96S.
Wow.
And some junk quarters.
So there are some scores out there, but you would say for most people, if you're picking through junk silver, it's going to be hard to find the key dates?
Well, especially since, you know, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, and sometimes you search the whole haystack and there's no needle. It's like, next time.
Okay, here's a fun question. They say, where do you see silver prices being in about 10 years or so? Also, what is a better buy, 1 ounce or 10 ounce silver bars?
at least in our shop, there's no difference in ounce price between a round and a bar. They're priced as generics in our shop, and it's the same whether it's 1 or 10 ounce or 5 ounce even. We start getting price breaks at kilos and 100 ounces.
So if someone was to buy 10 1-ounce silver bars or 1 10-ounce silver bar, it's the same price, right?
Here it is, yes.
So wouldn't it make more sense to buy the 10 1-ounce silver bars so you could have more versatility when you sell them? You could just do one at a time?
Maybe. Again, you know, it goes back to what I said before. It goes back to why you're buying them in the first place. If you think you might need the silver for barter, then certainly the smaller increments would make more sense. As to your first question, where do I see it in 10 years? A lot higher than it is now. But beyond that, I just don't know.
Well, let me ask you this, King Richard. Do you see silver going over $100 an ounce in the next 10 years?
Possibly. I didn't think gold would be 3,600. So
Maybe?
maybe.
What do you think, Adrian?
You know, we all hope that it does, right? But that just makes us think how bad the world's going to be for silver to be at $100 an ounce. While it might be good for the stack, you might be paying a lot more for other things. But here's the thing with silver: once it starts moving, I mean, it broke out of that, you know, $30 an ounce pattern that it was in. So it's something that I think is going to continue going up. I mean, there's healthy pullbacks that are happening, but I see it moving forward, and it keeps going up. You know, just like gold, you know, like we were talking about, it keeps hitting all-time highs every single day.
Yeah.
And silver's been going up too, not all-time highs yet, but it's moving up towards that territory. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if we break 50 here in the next, you know, month or so.
And you know, Harry, when we look at silver, Adrian makes a good point. Silver is not a stock. It's a commodity. There's no CEO who could get in trouble. There's no marketing team that puts out a bad ad. There's no quarterly report that looks terrible. It's a commodity, and once it gets going, it has a really hard time slowing down.
And not only that, there's a lot of industrial uses where there's an increased demand coming for silver. I was driving to work today and I saw this huge array of solar panels, and I'm thinking, wow, how much silver was in that thing? And if that sort of trend catches on, a lot of silver will be needed for that kind of array of panels. But then also we talked in a prior video about battery technology maybe going away from the rare earth metals and towards silver. And that would be a huge demand on silver. That's on top of just the normal stacking demand. There's a lot of upward pressure right now on silver. And to Adrian's point, plenty of trouble in the world to keep driving the metals, both gold and silver, higher.
Now, Harry, you said we could ask you any questions we wanted.
Yeah, get edgy.
Well, I don't know how edgy this one is, but I thought it was a funny question. They say, where can I get a black tray? Like one of these you've got the coins and the rounds in.
Yeah, I get them on Amazon. They're called jeweler's trays, and they're readily available. They're not very expensive, and the trays and the velvet pads that go in it are sold separately rather than as sets. So if you're going to order some of these, usually come in boxes of 6 or 12. Make sure you also order the velvet pads. But Amazon has several good sellers that provide these.
And
That wasn't very edgy.
no, that wasn't, but here's an edgy one. I thought
Okay.
this one was funny.
He
Okay.
was prepping you.
So they ask, what is Harry's least favorite coin in any metal?
You know, you had to see me the first time I saw a state quarter. I was at a grocery store and I got one in change. It was in 1999, and I'm a grown man and I was just flipping out, showing people in line behind me, showing the cashier. But I've come to not like them very much because every collection we have has binders and rolls of them, and I'm just kind of over it. I'm way over it right now.
Like, we never want to disappoint anybody, and we try to be as kind as possible, but they'll come in with their folder of state quarters. Like, I have a complete set of state quarters. And, you know, in the kindest way, we have to say, like, oh, well, it's all spending money, you know? And it's a hard conversation to have
Yeah.
sometimes.
So a state quarter is just worth a quarter.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we've talked about before. It's a hobby, and there's a lot of joy in completing that set. As to what it's worth, what's the difference if you had a good time doing it?
All right, Harry, we got 2 questions left, and these actually might be the most important. The first one here got a lot of thumbs ups. Everyone wants to know, why are only a few individuals or companies allowed to buy directly from the U.S. Mint?
I'm going to let Adrian answer that because he's actually done a little research into that.
Yeah, so the U.S. Mint, they like to keep stability in the market, and they have a list of, you know, it's a handful of dealers, I think 11 or 12 dealers that can actually buy from the U.S. Mint. But they want to have a reliable source to distribute the product. The other thing is they want to be able to control costs and, you know, have a small group of people that they can sell to wholesale. They also have minimums that these companies have to order. So it's a minimum of 1,000 ounces of gold and 25,000 of silver. So, you know, they have to be pretty financially fit to buy from the U.S. Mint, because that's a lot of gold and a lot of silver to buy.
So basically, they're wholesaling it to these companies because they don't want to do a bunch of small shipments.
Correct.
Harry, when are we going to get you on that list, ordering directly from the Mint?
Yeah, we're working on it. We're probably about a century off of that.
I wouldn't say that.
Adrian and Richard they'll make the list someday, I'm sure of it.
All right, that brings us to the last question, and I'll ask each of you. If you had $100 a month to spend on metals, what would you buy?
I think I would buy the Constitutional, the junk silver. You'd get a handful of coins, and you get some variety, and it goes back to the fun. You'd have silver, but you'd also have some fun putting it together. Maybe get Mercuries. Maybe get one each every decade of quarters, and maybe an example of each of the half dollars. So you can have a lot of fun with variety, even for $100.
All right, junk silver. What would you get, Adrian?
I would say probably some silver rounds. Nowadays you could get 2. But I would do some silver rounds and a couple silver rounds and some 90% sometimes.
What about you?
Mercury dimes.
Mercury dimes. So they're $3 each.
Right.
So you could get 33.
Yeah, so let's see what 33 would look like. That pile is gonna grow. What did you say? $100 every month?
Every month, yeah.
Yeah, every month that pile's gonna grow, and by the end of the year, you'll probably be able to fill up this tray, and you could go, yeah. In fact, the first thing I ever stacked was Mercury dimes, because most people, you know, sometimes even saving $30, even when you're a young kid, could be very hard sometimes, especially when there's so many temptations like potato chips. So I would be like, do I really want that expensive soda from the corner store, or do I want another Mercury dime? That's how I saved a lot of those. I would have little pocket money on me, and I kept saving my pocket money, and I'd go to my local coin store and I'd buy 2, 3, 4, 5 dimes at a time. It added up. In no time I had 1,000 of them.
Whoa, 1,000. That's pretty good.
That was my goal.
Well, we got through a lot of questions today, Harry, and I guess I would just ask people if they have any more questions to put them down below in the comments section.
I personally enjoy answering these questions because I too have questions all the time, and especially before I had the shop where I didn't have the resources of Richard and Adrian to ask. There was all kinds of questions that there's nowhere to find the answer. So as obscure as the question might be, or maybe even edgy, go ahead and ask it. We're very happy to do our best to answer it.
Well, hey, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Silver Dragons.
Thanks a lot, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.